Hey guys, as we know, the C6 Z06 is one of the best bang for your buck performance cars that you can buy out there. Now I've owned this thing for basically almost 2 years now at this point, surprisingly. And I have a bunch of ideas and thoughts that I want to share with you guys. And so in this video we're going to be covering why I bought this car, the cars I didn't buy instead of buying this car. We're going to go deep dive into the interior, deep dive into the exterior, and of course we'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of my ownership of the C6 Z06. This is a 2009 C6 Z06 with 65,000 miles on it. I bought it for a really good deal. You can see the series of videos that I've made on this car on my channel. There's a playlist that I've created for you guys. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like it if you subscribe to the channel, because it really helps me, it motivates me really, to make these videos for you guys, and I really have fun with these. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go for a drive and talk about this car. So why would someone like me buy a car like this? Now, I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you clicked on this video. You either own one of these, or you're interested in buying one, or you kind of just want to know what the ownership of one feels like or what it's like. But first, before you own it, you got to kind of figure out why you would buy something like this. So let's go over the reasons. I think number one reason, and needs vary, right? And needs change as you grow up, you get kids, etc. But I've always been a track guy. I like taking my cars to the track. It's a good place to unwind for me. And that's why I bought a Camaro ZL1 1LE. And in the Camaro, I mean, I had a ton of fun. It's great. It's just a very serious car. And so I kind of wanted to see if there's something else out there that can take the Camaro's place and fill that V8 void that I would have if I were to sell the Camaro. That's why I bought the Z06. And I did consider other cars, but what I was really looking for is something with a great engine sound, and this car sounds amazing. Let's hear it. It just sounds so good. And I was looking for that. I wanted a really great sounding car. Didn't have to be a V8, but a V8's obviously a big positive, in my opinion. That sounds good. That sounds really good. I wanted something also that's fun. I think the Camaro is a very fun car, and it's great to take out and have a little fun with it, but you can get into trouble, frankly, way too quickly in that thing. It's 650 horsepower. And so I gathered, I'm like, well, maybe if I kind of buy a tuned down version, 500 horsepower like this car has, in a lighter chassis, it'd be a little bit more fun. That was my thought process, right? And so another thing that I really love is that every time you take it out, it's kind of an event. It's fun in that way. It's got a really nice V8 rumble. It's got a really nice V8 sound, as we've talked about. It's got a really special feeling when you turn it on and everything kind of shakes a little bit. You know you're in a special car, right? And that just adds to the fun of it. And so I was looking for fun, I was looking for speed, I was looking for performance, but I was also looking for a bargain. So if you take your car to the racetrack a lot like I do, it's a smart idea to insure it for racetrack. Now, Lockton Insurance and Haggerty and other places insure cars that do HPDEs. Recently, in the last couple of years, they also do time trials. Boy, do I wish I had time trial insurance on my Type R available before I crashed it. It wasn't available until after I crashed it. That's how things work out. But with this car, I wanted something that's not gonna be crazy expensive to insure. The more expensive the car is to replace, the more expensive it is to insure on racetracks. And basically it's like $600 per weekend to insure the Camaro. Whereas if you're gonna insure this thing, it's like $300-ish. And that's a big difference when you go out and do a bunch of track days and autocross events and you're just having fun with your car. The expense adds up significantly quickly, not even counting brake pads and tires, etc. And so I was looking for something to maybe try to replace the Camaro, and I ended up buying this thing. And so what cars did I not buy instead of buying this thing? So I considered buying a Nissan GT-R, and those were great. And back when I was searching for them 2 years ago, they were a little bit cheaper, and so they were a great buy for like $50,000, $55,000. You can get a decent example from 2009, 2010. The reason I didn't go for that is I test drove one at a dealer, and it felt numb. It just felt really numb. Felt way more robotic, artificial than the Camaro felt. It felt, way more artificial than the S2000 ever felt. I'm not saying it's not fast. It's an amazing car. I love GTRs. That's why I considered buying one. But it just wasn't really what I was looking for. I wanted something fun and exciting and exhilarating and invigorating. And the GTR really wasn't it. I then test drove a few, actually, C7 Grand Sports. And those are awesome cars. C7 Grand Sports are probably my favorites, if not my favorite, then my second favorite Corvettes that they've made in the last 10 years. And they're just really good. It has 450 horsepower. I would get it in a stick shift, obviously. And I love the way they look. It's got that long nose. It's just really nice looking. Those go for around $50,000, $55,000 as well for good examples. They haven't really depreciated that much, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending if you own one or not. But I test drove them. They were really cool. They're really nice. But still, $55,000 is a lot of money for a Corvette. And going from 650 to 450 in horsepower, that was quite a jump. I already did a video on this, so I'm not going to rehash it all over again. But I did seriously take a close look at Porsche 911s. The 991.1 generation is my favorite 911 because it still has that analog, mostly analog feeling. I know it has electric power steering, but it's got the analog feeling, and it's got that old school, 911 energy to it. It's got that 911 feel to it. My brother-in-law has a 911, a 991.1 convertible. I would not get it as a convertible. I was looking at 991 4S's or just S's, right? So the S or the all-wheel drive S. And I also test drove two of those, and they were great. I mean, Porsche knows how to get the best driver experience in their cars, right? They've been doing the 911 for a very long time. They know what they're doing, but it felt like it was way too much money for the performance you were getting. I wanted something that, gets out of its own way, has a decent amount of power, something that I can flog on the street and flog on the track and kind of feel it, right? If I wanted Civic Type R levels of power, I'd buy a Civic Type R, which I already own, so I don't really want Civic Type R levels of power. In the 911, even in the S, kind of feels a little slow. And so that's why I ended up with the C6 Z06. Now, let's take a close look at the interior of this thing, because one of the things I was looking for is a car that I can get into and just drive, turn the AC on, be comfortable, turn down the exhaust. So I do have a mild to wild switch, and here it is. I could turn the exhaust down to very quiet and just relax and take a road trip. I recently took a road trip to St. Augustine with my friend, and it was comfortable, right? Very, very competent cruiser. I was looking for something like that. The ZL1 1LE does not do that at all. It's very stiff suspension. vibrates, everything vibrates in the car. It wouldn't be as great as this at cruising. So let's take a close look at the interior. I'm going to give you guys a whole overview of the interior and show you guys in detail what it has, what it doesn't have, and things I would change about it. One of the best reasons to get this car is for its interior, believe it or not. A lot of people love to hate on this interior, and there's reasons to hate it, but there's reasons to love it. Let's start here. This is a 3LZ with the optional leather package, so everything is covered in leather. These tend to crack if you leave them out, but this has always been garaged, and so it's not cracking. Now if you take a look here, it's a button. So you gotta hit this button to open it from the inside, and this is the button to open it when you're outside of it. It's got decent storage. I mean, I put my cell phone in here sometimes, or my wallet. This panel's always getting kicked. But overall, it's pretty nice. And putting your elbow on this, very soft. I'm telling you, this makes a great cruising car. It's just super comfortable. Now, the seats. A lot can be said about the seats. Is it good for autocrossing or track days? Absolutely not. However, when it comes to cruising, it's one of the most comfortable seats I've ever been in. One problem is that when you're braking hard, it just moves. That's how it moves. And that's not great. That is not great at all. Once you step inside, it feels a little bit less like a $70,000 car and more like a $30,000 or $40,000 car, which is to say that it's actually still pretty good. There's nothing to complain about here. The steering wheel's a little bit too big. I mean, if it was just a tiny bit smaller, it would be a little bit better, but honestly not a big deal. The gauges are awesome. I wouldn't really change much about them. And I actually kind of like that retro feel that this thing has. I mean, you press the button here and it changes what it shows. So oil temperature, coolant temperature, battery voltage, your tire pressures, front and back. I love that. I love being able to just quickly glance and see my tire pressures. Oil pressure, 38 psi. When you hit it, it goes up. That's what you want to see. Now, you don't need to put that there because you already have that right there. What else does this have? Oil temperature, coolant temperature. And then over here you got range to empty. Average fuel economy, 19 miles to the gallon. And that's that. Then you get your trip, average speed, oil life remaining, odometer, trip odometer, etc. I think it's pretty cool. I love being able to just get in the car, leave the key in my pocket, turn the damn thing on. It's pretty nice to have that. Another cool feature that this one has, because it's a 3LZ, is, and I'm not sure you'll be able to see it, a heads-up display. And you can change that with these buttons here. Move it up, move it down. You can make it brighter. You can make it less bright using these buttons here. And you can change what it shows. From 2009, having that feature, you know, I didn't think I'd care about it that much, but it's nice to have. It's especially when you're cruising, you don't have to glance slightly down at your speedometer. Just kind of look at the road and look at what's going on. Very fighter pilots of this car. Looking at the rest of the dash here, it's covered in leather, like I said. This is a 3LZ with the optional leather package. It's got Corvette embroidered there. It's nice. It feels like a premium car. It's got fake carbon fiber here. It comes from the factory this way. I don't think it's real. It might be real. I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's fake or real. But it's got carbon fiber inlay here, and this is the traction control. It's got small cup holders. You can't put large cups, they will fall over, but you can get smaller cups in there and maybe a small drink. It's got a little ashtray with a 12 volt in there. I keep my mild to wild switch in there, nestled in quite nicely. It's got heated seats, which is quite nice. And to turn off the heated seats, you just press the 0. Alright, so here's with it on, 0. It's got automatic climate control, dual zone, so the left side and right side get their own zone. And then you have this navigation screen. You press this button here. That's really interesting. Now, it doesn't have the cubby hole that the C7s have, but that's okay. And you can, it is a capacitive touch, so you go to source. There's the music. You can turn it off like that. I mean, the touch screen, it's interesting. You have to press on it. You can't just touch it, you have to press on it. It's an old school type of touchscreen. Kind of cool that this car has it. The passenger seats, same as the driver's seats. It's very comfortable. It looks like it'll hold you in, but it really doesn't. It's very soft. This is a very soft material. You don't really sink into it. You kind of just get in there. It hugs you enough for spirited driving here and there, but it's not enough for serious track driving. These are the original Z06 mats. I actually have new mats that I can put in here, but these are the Z06 mats, and this is the glove compartment. Plenty of room in there, and it still has the original tag from when it was bought. The string just never cut off. That's kind of interesting in there. Up here, previous owner put on this pouch thing for information. I don't really use that. And it's pretty decent here. It's got the mirrors. This feels kind of cheap. This is kind of cheap, but you don't really interact with it that much. It's got little lights. And then you have this mirror, which tells you which direction you're going. It also has OnStar. I don't think it's working anymore. And it's got some lights. Some lights there. Some lights there. Looking at some minor details, it's got 2 memory seats. And if you're larger, or you have more weight on you and you need the seat to come out, this will push the seat all the way back for you, and then when you turn the car back on, it'll put you back in the position that you want it to be. This car, if you're driving it around and you say you get home and you just want to go out real quick, you have to press the unlock button first before you open it. Otherwise, if you go to open it, it won't open. It does have an emergency latch here. You could use this in case the battery goes out, or you're in an accident and the battery gets disconnected and the button doesn't work. This is the latch for that. Then you have here, this is the garage door opener. Kind of nice to see that and have that there. Over here, you think that's a tweeter, but it's not. It's actually where your microphone is for the Bluetooth that this car comes with. You can take Bluetooth calls in this car, and it's equipped for that. I think that's super cool that this 2009 car has basically all of that. And then to top it off here, you have the gas cap and the trunk buttons down here. I always forget that you have to press the gas cap button when I go get gas in this car. This armrest is not as comfortable as the armrest found on the seats over there. However, still not too bad. And here's some storage. Now, I would not put anything in here that you don't mind getting really hot. I'm touching it right now. It's extremely warm in there. Just keep that in mind. Don't put any chocolate bars in there. It will melt, I promise you that. I've already shown you this. What I haven't shown you is that it closes. That's actually pretty nice. And then finally, if you look to the back, it's got a boatload of storage back there, and it's actually got a cubby hole on this side here that opens up and you can store stuff in there. The battery is back there, so if you ever need to charge it up or anything, it's back there. And there's a ton of space in the back. Now it also comes with one of these, and this is like a cargo cover, and if you put it on, it'll cover your cargo so it doesn't get heated up by the sun. Now I just have my camera back there, and it is being heated up by the sun, but the air conditioning is doing a great job at keeping the cabin cool. And that's the interior, guys. If you have any questions on the interior that I missed, or if there's anything I missed, let me know down in the comments. Let's move on to the exterior. Let's take a look at the exterior, because I honestly have not in detail gone over all of my favorite parts of this Z06 and of the C6 in general. Let's start from the front. So from the front, I mean, the whole car, the front of the nose of the car just has this menacing look to it. It's got a really long nose. The headlights, honestly, I didn't think I would like them, but in person, they look really good. I actually do not miss the pop-up headlights from the C5. These headlights are great because it kind of just flows in. And this carbon fiber fender right here stays in your eye line. It is so good when going around corners. I love the scoop. The Grand Sports have the scoop as well. The ZR1s have the scoop, and they have a little window here to show you the supercharger on the engine. The previous owner put the Jake logo on there. I love the large fog lamps. They look really good. And there's really nothing in the front I would change. The logo's perfect. I absolutely love 427. I love that. One thing, this yellow here, I'm not sure I like it. I've gotten used to it, but it's a lot of yellow in this blue paint. Kind of clashes a little bit. Maybe a European white one would work better, or a blacked out one. I think maybe a blacked out one would work. Let me know in the comments if you think a blacked out one would work nicely there. The wheels, yes, they are chrome wheels. These are the factory wheels that came with it. Super nice. I didn't think I would like them because I hate chrome, but in person, they pop and they make the car stand out. Especially on a bright day like today, this really pops with the chrome wheels. It looks super nice when it basically is just sparkles and reflects the sunlight, especially against this Jetstream blue paint. I love how this carbon fiber fender bulges out right here. And you can see it. This right here, the scoop, everything is functional on this car. I love that. The functionality of this car does not stop. By the way, these are Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s. Now that I get a little close up, I love those red calipers against the blue. What do you guys think? Red and blue. Then back here, it just has that classic Corvette look. Long hood, and then the coupe just kind of swoops over. Jetstream blue, looking really nice. I like the little GM badge down there. That's kind of nice. It's a nice little touch. And this scoop right here, also functional, adds air to this area here. I love the functional hood scoops on this. Hood scoops and side scoops. Again, the red calipers. And this angle right here is to die for. Love how this thing looks from the back and the side. Again, the classic Stingray look. This goes in like this. Really nice focal point there. And those round taillights. Classic Corvette round taillights. Stock exhaust. Everything just looks so great. I love this right here, Corvette. Just in case you forget. Just a classic looking car. This is gonna be regarded as one of the best designed, best looking cars ever made in history. You can quote me on that, guys. In 20 years, people are gonna be lining up to buy these just to put them in their museums, just to put them in their garage. This is an awesome looking car, guys. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love this little spoiler here. It just kind of sets it off. Side profile, menacing. All right, let's go ahead and continue. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So as a longtime owner of this thing, I will never get tired of looking at it. We just did the exterior review. I will never get tired of looking at it. It's one of the best parts about owning a C6 Z06, especially in this blue, Jetstream blue, is that every time you look at it, you're like, wow, piece of art. I really think so. I think this car will go down in history. It's one of the best looking cars ever made. Now let's talk about, as a longtime owner, so basically 2 years, how good and bad is it to own this car? So let's go over the good first. And all the good parts are, they're kind of covered already. The looks, the V8, the performance, the bargain that it is. You know, for $35,000 to $45,000, $50,000, you can get a really good example of this thing, and it's just an awesome car to own. And honestly, the thing that people don't talk about, that are surprised to hear when I talk about it actually, are the fact that being inside this cabin is extremely comfortable. When you compare this to my S2000, my Camaro, even my Civic Type R, I would say that this is actually more comfortable than any of those cars. And I think that's how they designed it from the get-go. They knew that this car would be used by a more elderly gentleman that's gonna take this out to the highway and do lots of cruising with it, go to car shows, the occasional track day, maybe the occasional drag strip, things like that. And you can see that it shows up in the creature comforts. This is an amazingly comfortable seat. The HVAC system is stupid how efficient it is at cooling the cabin. It's just really amazing, honestly. I don't even understand. I didn't expect it to be this good when I got it, and I actually expected it to be kind of warm, since the transmission tunnel in here gets really warm, and it still does get really warm. But what I didn't expect was that the HVAC system was going to be so efficient at cooling here that I'm never going to be wanting for more cooling. That's one of the best things about it. You get your performance car, you get it for a bargain. You can do extremely high speed runs on it. It's very fast, it's very capable, it's extremely fun on the track. And you can take it out as a daily and use it as a daily driver. As long as you don't need room for more than 2 adults, you are perfectly fine using this car as a daily driver. That's one of the best things that people don't talk about. And overall cost of ownership hasn't been much. Outside of the oil change and outside of a couple of things that I've done to it in terms of like the tires and brake pads, etc., this thing has been dead stone reliable, and I haven't even worried about it. Now, the bad. So one of the purposes that I bought this car for was to take it out on the track and have fun. It is fun. It's a very fun car to take out on the track. It's very powerful, very capable, and it hangs in there with supercars. What doesn't hang in there with supercars are these seats on the track. Perfect seats for cruising, terrible seats on the track, and I would need to change them for sure if I was going to track this car a lot. The other thing I would say is that everything needs a little bit of stiffening, right? I think the transmission's a little slow. I didn't expect it to be slow. Everyone loves this transmission. I think it's a great transmission. I'm just used to very fast shifting when it comes to, you know, spirited driving, and this thing does not like to be rushed. Don't get me wrong, if you slam it, it'll take it. But it doesn't feel that confident when you're putting it in. It probably could use a refreshing of the bushings. You know, it's got 65,000 miles on it. But it's just one of the things I didn't expect to not be as sharp. The other bad thing about this car is that, and I've talked about this in other videos, but the chassis is not connected. You know, it's hard to explain, but it's not as connected of a chassis as I would want from something like this. And the best way to describe it is that the front end and the rear end don't always talk to each other quick enough, right? There's a bit of a latency involved to it. If you ever played video games and you have a little bit of a latency issue when you're doing a first-person shooter, that's what I'm talking about. It's kind of a latency problem that it has, and you don't really notice it. You don't notice it at all when you're just driving around, you know, town, but on the track or you're spirited driving and you turn in really hard, and this thing does turn in really well. The back end kind of takes its second to wake up. And not a big deal if you're used to lesser cars, let's say. But like me, if you're used to S2000, if you're used to the Camaro or the Civic Type R, something like this is just not going to cut the mustard. So finally, let's talk about the ugly. And the ugliest part about this car is the valve drop issue. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about the C6 Z06 valve drop issue. In case you've been living under a rock, I'll tell you what it is. Effectively, a batch of valves were installed in a bunch of C6 Z06s, and those valves were machined improperly, and the valve guides wore out prematurely, and they grenaded the engines. Quite a few of them, actually. In addition to that, this engine is a very special engine. It's a very high-strung engine. It's a race car engine. And if you don't treat it with respect, it will fail. And so, while I love the fact that the engine is very special, the ugliest thing is you never really know if it's getting ready to drop its valve. And that's just it. If I'm using this car on the racetrack, on back roads, etc., I don't want kind of a lingering thing in the background to be, hey, at any moment, you could have a $10,000 day. There's so much crap on the internet about this. It's tiring. The fact that we even have to talk about it, it's disappointing. And I didn't think that was going to be a problem when I bought the car. You know, I didn't really think I'd think about it that much. But after owning it and after seeing, you know, Josh Bell's The Racing Mind, he's a really good YouTuber, I like that YouTube channel. After seeing him grenade his engine and lots of other people grenade their engines, it just weighs on you, you know? I'm used to driving Hondas. They don't really break. You kind of drive the crap out of them and you don't have to worry about it. It's nice. So with the ugly out of the way, let's talk conclusions. Should you consider buying this car? I'm going to say a resounding yes to that. And there's many reasons. It's a great car, it's comfortable, it's fast. It's an awesome car to own. Every car is going to have its negatives, every car is going to have its compromises. And outside of the valve drop issue that can be fixed, I think, outside of that, this car is really awesome. It's one of the best looking sports cars ever made. It's one of the fastest sports cars ever made. It's one of the most serious sports cars ever made. And I would be remiss to say anything but great things about this car. If you're considering getting one and it fits your lifestyle, it fits your life, it's your second car, even as your main car, if you don't have a family to deal with, it's just you and your wife, you can do a lot worse than this car. Like I said, it's comfortable. It's great on gas. I mean, right now it's very quiet. I have the mild to wild switch. Just turn it off to not have any drone. Very, very comfortable. I really do recommend this car to anybody that can make this car fit their lifestyle. It's a great daily driver if you're going to use it as a daily driver. It's an awesome car, guys. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.